Hello everyone, TLSG here, back again with another daily Marvel Snap video. So today we have a new-ish take on a Lockjaw build. This list was kind of brainstormed together from the Snap.fan Discord channel with a lot of the great deck building minds such as Dunkoro, who helped create the Death Wave deck, the negative serotonin, which is more recently that you may feel the pain of. Dunkoro was largely responsible for a lot of that. And so now there is a new deck list that a user named Vinkelsier, which is another great deck builder that helped put this one together. And the idea behind it is that negative serotonin is due to be nerfed pretty hard from what everyone thinks. And so what deck is going to fill this spot? Which deck is going to perform well after that deck is gone? And so that is where this deck list comes from. It is a new take on a Lockjaw build, and I did want to try a little bit longer format style video. So I climbed from 96 to 98 with this deck pretty quickly, and so I want to showcase the push to infinite with this deck list from 98 to 100, which could take, of course, several more games than what a normal video does. And so I'm thinking maybe once we get settled in, I'll do something like an infinite push or a longer format video once a week, along with the other deck showcase videos. And so this one will act as a deck showcase, but at the same time, it is going to offer a lot more gameplay mechanics as well. And so please let me know what you think of the format or the longer format, because I already know 30 minutes is a pretty lengthy video. So this one may end up being 45 minutes, 50 minutes. And so please let me know what you think of the extended length. If you would rather me keep it around 5 or 6 matches and then just call it good there, or if you'd rather see like a longer format where some of the games are going to be low rolls, you're going to see a few more losses, and maybe a few more tactical retreats that I can talk through and speak through the reasoning behind why it's advantageous to retreat in this certain scenario, so that you can kind of conserve cubes and look at the grind overall, which is what this longer format would be looking at, rather than taking like the 4 or 5 really good games out of maybe 10. Instead, it would showcase just about all 10 except for any like really low rolls versus bots. So please let me know what you think of this format. Let's go ahead and jump into the deck build. And although it may not look like anything just too crazy, but that's where the strength of the deck list lies, in the consistency. So each of these pieces is not meant to be a high roll piece. It is meant to push consistent power. And yes, you can get some games where you're going to get like 3 Mjolnirs and like 3 Mjolnir flips into Lockjaw or something crazy. But for the most part, it is meant to push an above average power level in all 3 lanes. That way you can compete for every single location, no matter what flips up, no matter what turns up, no matter what location is there. You can compete and potentially win those lanes. And so let's take a look at the deck list. So first up, we have Scorpion. Scorpion is going to negatively impact the opponent's board. This is great for an Iron Man style meta, because not only does it impact the Iron Man by -1, it technically impacts him by -2. If you hit both an Iron Man and a Mystique, that makes it really hard to drop those resources and starts chipping away at a lot of their power potential. And then we have Swarm, something that I'm a little bit sad that I didn't think of. So the Swarm Calling Wing combo. With this list only running a couple of 2-cost cards, we can almost always guarantee that if we draw into Calling Wing and we have Swarm in hand, we can guarantee that Calling Wing, who discards our lowest cost card from our hand, will discard Swarm. And when she discards Swarm, that is going to create 0-cost copies of Swarm. So in a particular playline, we could drop Calling Wing on 2. On 3, we could drop Lockjaw and 2 0-cost card flips into the Lockjaw lane. If we happen to either play Jane Foster or flip into Jane Foster, she's going to pull those swarms back out of your deck, and you can start creating some really crazy nutty combos off of this simple but powerful interaction. Then we have Calling Wing. Her main purpose in this list is to discard Swarm at least once, so that you can have 2 free cycle tools for your Lockjaw either mid-game, or you can hold them until late game once a Mjolnir is in your deck. And you could potentially try to high roll into a Mjolnir flip, a double Mjolnir flip, a Dr. Doom, a Mjolnir and an Odin. There's a lot of potential play lines with the free flips that you can drop into the Lockjaw lane. And then we have a little bit of disruption. So we have Green Goblin. Green Goblin, I think, is a tech card that is often slept on. So a lot of really greedy combo decks, something like an Omega Red Onslaught or Wong Mystique spectrum combo, those require a lot of lane space. If we can take away even one of those spaces, a lot of times we tank their entire game plan, the entire thing. So for example, the Patriot deck that we ran recently, somebody might drop an Ant-Man, they follow it up with either an Onslaught or a Patriot. We can hit them with a Green Goblin. That's going to take away a lot of their potential. They're not able to get 2 Onslaughts onto the board after that. And we can much more easily assess that power potential. And so Green Goblin, although it is only -3, it's a good card to tech against some really greedy, really powerful decks that if you don't have an answer for them, can completely run the game and run the board. And then we have Bishop. Some games we're going to drop Bishop, and then maybe we just naturally drop our swarms 2 times on the board after they cycle through. Maybe we just drop them once. Bishop is going to be a decent mid-range power play in this deck. So he could end up being around 6 to 8, which is decent for a 3-cost card, and can be just enough to make you competitive in that lane so that you can drop your last turn power push. You can drop a Dr. Doom to push a little bit of extra power over there. It gives you a lot of play around potential to try to win. And then we have the goodest of boys, Lockjaw. We can rotate cards with Lockjaw, and in this deck, a lot of Lockjaw decks operate under like a really greedy premise. You want to have like 7 6-cost cards in the deck, and although this one does have 3, most of the time you're not going to want to rotate your Lockjaw until turn 5, turn 6, when you're really trying to push for either Mjolnirs or a Dr. Doom, maybe a high roll of a Dr. Doom and an Odin flip somehow. There's a lot of play potential with the Lockjaw, but you lose that potential if you flood it early, which is what I typically do, is you push your low-cost cards in there and you try to get like the Infinite. You try to get the really high power cards. This one is meant to be an even power push all the way throughout. And then we have Jubilee. Sometimes you just need somebody to pull in a little bit of extra power. Jubilee is going to give us that option towards the end of the game when we know within a reasonable doubt the last few cards that are in our list. And if we can guarantee that it's like an Odin, or maybe that's the extra push we need for a Thor. Maybe Jubilee pulls into Lockjaw to start our cycling. She opens up a lot of play potential. She's not going to be a card that is dropped every single turn because Thor is a much higher priority than her, but she enables us to, if we don't have those key pieces in our hand, she enables us that additional chance to try to draw into them. And then we have Thor. Thor is huge right now. When he first came out, he felt incredibly underwhelming. But with the support of Jane Foster, with the Lockjaw style deck lists, and with some great minds working on trying to build him into a good card, he has found his own. He is a pretty strong, really formidable card at this point. So with Thor, a lot of times if you can drop that into a lane, that lane is almost going to be guaranteed that you can lock that one down, because you have that flexibility on turn 6 to either do a Mjolnir and Odin, you can do a Mjolnir and then 2 other flips to try to draw back into Mjolnir, or maybe you just need 1 Mjolnir drop and then you can push like a Dr. Doom or even a Chavez in another lane to spread out that power. It gives you that last turn play potential so that you're not locked into a particular high power push in one lane and then your opponent can just switch to another. Thor has that flexibility that you can decide how much power you devote there and how much power you push into one of your other lanes. And then we have Jane Foster. She is going to pull all 0-cost cards from our deck. If you notice, this deck list doesn't run a Wasp, which Wasp is a free rotation tool, but honestly, if you can get a swarm discarded, you can rotate that into your deck list, you can have her pull those swarms back out. You can get a lot of upside from Jane Foster, but most of the time she is only going to pull your Mjolnir, which is fine. All you really need is the Mjolnir back to really enable that Thor lane into something really big. And then we have Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom is going to allow us to push power into multiple lanes. He's a great card to either drop into a Lockjaw lane on the last turn to push additional power into other locations while potentially pushing a higher play into that lane, or we can drop him in a lane if we somehow get to play him early. We can hit that with an Odin. Sometimes you're going to cycle into him, which is also a good play because it's going to push power into all of your lanes so that you can try to be competitive in all of them and not just in one. And then we have Odin. Odin is going to re-trigger all owner abilities. So this could be either Hobgoblins, Green Goblins, it could be your Thor, it could be your Mjolnir, it could be Dr. Doom. There's a lot of, it could be Jubilee. There's a lot of good targets for Odin in this list. And a lot of times, since you're not going to rotate until you know what you have in your hand and what you have in your deck, a lot of times you're going to be able to strategically make sure that this triggers what you want it to hit. And then lastly, we come in with Chavez. Chavez in this list is a good cycle card. If you drop a swarm early, a lot of times you'll get lucky and you'll pull into Chavez. Otherwise, she helps us draw into our key combo pieces earlier. So the Thor, the Jane Foster, the Swarm, Calling Wing, Lockjaw, all of which are going to be higher priority than having a 6-cost card on turn 1 or turn 2. She enables us to just have that little bit of extra consistency, and if we flip into her, she's a pretty good card to flip into. All right, so with the deck explanation out of the way, we are going to go ahead and jump into a few games and see if we can't hit infinite on this video. All right, so first up we have SU Diver. It's the Diver. Our starting hand looks absolutely phenomenal. I'm actually going to go ahead and snap. I always feel bad snapping on turn 1, but we have the Lockjaw to enable a flip. We have Thor and then Jane Foster to pull into Mjolnir. And then we also have Dr. Doom, so we can always cycle both of those on turn 6. We have a lot of play around potential here. So I think even if they have a pretty decent list, we have a really good shot here at doing some pretty incredible things. So we can actually drop Lockjaw a turn early. And so I think we're going to drop Lockjaw mid. After that, we'll probably have to skip turn 3. If not, that allows us to potentially do like a Green Goblin, depending on what they drop. So it's a Mr. Fantastic. So potentially an ongoing deck, potentially just a 3-cost card, and we read too much into it. Actually, I think we rotate. Oh, okay. I don't think we rotate Swarm here. We always have the downside of potentially drawing into Calling Wing, which would be absolutely awful if we ended up discarding Thor. So it does look like they are running an ongoing style deck list. So we need to be kind of cautious or cognizant of this lane and this location. And then also the fact that on turn 6 you can move cards over into New York doesn't always play into our favor either. So I think I'm going to play Thor into Atlantis. That may be the only card we play there. We may also shift it over into New York because we have Dr. Doom to push some power wide. So it might not be in our... Ooh, so it's a Mr. Negative? With a Mojo and a Mr. Fantastic? Interesting. All right, so I guess here we go. Okay, so let's do the Jane Foster into New York. That's going to guarantee we pull into our Mjolnir, and then we can kind of look to see what we want to do. We could always cycle Mjolnir, Scorpion, and Swarm on that final turn, and then also play something else somewhere else. But I think it depends here. I think Dr. Doom is going to be a pretty decent card.
Iron Man.
And they drop Iron Man in the far left. So we have to worry about them potentially moving Iron Man on us. Because we know that we don't want to really play in Atlantis. We just pushed him there as like a false power push or a false power play. But then the question comes down to But then the question comes down to, like, do they move theirs in anticipation that we move ours? New York adds so much, adds like a next level of like mind games to the matches, and so I think we, oh man, I don't know. I think we move Thor. We have to be able to win another location though, and so how do we win another lane? And so maybe we leave Thor, we move Lockjaw. Why does it say we have 10 energy? We definitely do not have 10 energy. We rotate Mjolnir once. We play Bishop. We rotate Mjolnir, and we rotate Scorpion in case they extend the game. That doesn't feel great. That doesn't even feel good, honestly. I think we lose. We would have to get really, really lucky in our flips to get something like an Odin, maybe even a Green Goblin. So maybe they extend the game. No, it's a Blue Marvel play. What are they doing? So we have a chance here. So Mjolnir will trigger. It'll make our Thor, 16? So it ties with the Iron Man, which is huge. And then it cycles back in. We're going to rotate out into something else. We rotate into the Odin, which pulls our Mjolnir, so it can't get a double trigger. But Thor is actually 17 instead of 16. I did my math wrong. So we actually come out with the win in the weirdest way possible. And then the Green Goblin comes in for the over-the-top victory. So if they did extend the game, we would have a free another cycle, so we could always cycle Mjolnir back in. We could cycle Mjolnir and then play Chavez in mid. It opened up a lot of playline potential for us. I am dumbfounded that we were able to come over and win. The 11 power push from the Mjolnir and the Atlantis came in absolutely critical. The Odin right off the bat into the Jane Foster to repull Mjolnir was a pretty low roll. It took away a lot of our power, our extra power push in Atlantis. So had they dropped anything that was over 5 power, then they would have had a pretty good shot. But that is 1-0. That puts us at 98.4. We have 1.6 to go. Let's see if we can hit it on this video. All right, so next up we have Taco. And in our starting hand, we don't have any of our great cards. We do have Jane Foster and Odin. So if we can draw into Thor by 4, then we can guarantee that we have at least one really big power push, and then we have a decent power push in a secondary lane. And so for 3, Jotunheim's pretty low roll. We do draw into our Doctor Doom, which is nice. So it's either a Green Goblin play here into Jotunheim to make it especially negative, or a Bishop play. I think I like the Green Goblin just a little bit better. And then we can see what we draw into for 4. Ooh, so they storm the Nidavellir location. If we draw into Thor, I think it's going to be a big power potential to play into that lane. Otherwise, maybe we avoid it, and maybe we just... Okay. Well, okay. So we do have Doctor Doom that's going to be able to push an additional 5 power into one of the lanes. Do we think they invest resources into the flooded location or not? Because if they don't, then doing a Calling Wing into like a Doctor Doom turn 6 would be enough to push us over their current power level. And I think we leave the spaces free over here and over here. I don't think it hurts us any to take the Calling Wing gamble. Good. So they use a Ghost Rider, which resummons their Giganta, which is okay. That is absolutely fine. Because we have the ability to go wide. I don't know that Taco does. Ooh, and then we draw into, oh my gosh. We draw into our Lockjaw, so we are going to be able to rotate. But can we ever rotate well enough that we come up over 17 power? So in our list, we still have Jubilee, which would be a low roll if we play both swarms. We also have Thor. Which is a really good power push. So Jubilee, Thor, Chavez. I don't like the play here. I don't quite like flooding it. Maybe we do just a Lockjaw. That'll allow us to push 5 power or more over into Jotunheim. We can push a decent power level here. We can play Doctor Doom. Let's go ahead and snap back. I don't know that we win the Jotunheim lane. I don't know. They're running a really high power deck list. So we'll honestly see. Kunlun, absolutely lost cause now. Oh, absolutely lost cause. So we're gonna have to rely on the flips. So we can do one swarm. Well, I guess the flip doesn't matter, does it? Because we can't potentially flip into. We could reflip into a Doctor Doom, yeah. But what are they gonna play in Jotunheim? That is my biggest concern. Do they play something that maybe sends this back? Because if they have an Odin, which they probably have, we get -6. They get 8. But the 6 power here is not going to do it. So my anticipation is that we lose this one. I'm going to go ahead and let it play out because we are so close. If they have an Odin, which a lot of times a Lady Sif Ghost Rider high roll style deck has, they're going to be able to use Odin here, resend the Green Goblin back. If we had an advantage in like the flooded lane or even a close call in Kunlun, we could do Odin here to resend the Green Goblin that they send our way back to them. But it's just not going to be a big enough play, and we're not going to be able to make it happen. And so they do, ooh, a Jubilee. Okay, maybe they don't have the Odin in hand. The Magneto is, oh no. So oh my gosh. So it turns out, had we dropped one of our swarms over into Jotunheim like I was thinking, I considered dropping one in Kunlun and one in Jotunheim, we would have won. We would have won Jotunheim by 1. Not being able to really anticipate the Lockjaw play, but that Magneto Jubilee pool was huge. Taco, you deserve those cubes. It hurts to say, but you deserve those cubes. Let's go ahead and rinse and repeat. We now have a little bit more ground to cover. Now that we're 97.6, we have a little bit more ground to cover before we can say that we are infinite. All right, so if we win this one, we're going to go ahead and snap. It's a weird world. Maybe they will retreat right off the bat. We get a Cyclops, so maybe they're running a Patriot deck, and our Doctor Doom is actually going to be great for us here. Otherwise, they get a hodgepodge of stuff. They let it go on. So RJ is going to be a trooper here. So here I think we drop our bishop. Doesn't necessarily matter where, as long as it's not here. Ooh, and it does look like a potential Patriot game. So if they have Patriot in hand, it's a little bit sneaky. Otherwise, if we can draw into their Patriot, Doctor Doom is going to be huge, because we can play Doctor Doom, and then those tokens are going to get +2 power each, so they're going to be 7 power tokens instead of 5. Oh, the Triskelion is in... We get Quinjet. Quinjet is huge. Quinjet is going to reduce the cost of everything that we draw into. Everything. Everything except for the Odin and the Doctor Doom will be reduced by 1, which is huge. Absolutely huge. I think we do a Cyclops in the right lane. We continue to buff up our bishop. I think we're going to have a really, really good game here. Even though we're drawing into like Weird World and Triskelion, so we have all kinds of like hodgepodge pieces that we're trying to put together. I think we have a really good shot here. So they pull into Thing from their deck list, so that is fine. Maybe they have the Patriot, and that they're... Oh, nope, there's the Patriot. So I think we hold that until close to the end. Maybe turn 5. Okay. So we were going to be able to use their own cards against them. Just RJ, you didn't deserve that. That does gain back 2 of the 8 cubes we lost. Let's go ahead and rinse and repeat, and try and keep these positive gains going. All right. So next up we have Fred, and I think Fred is human because they had a different card back than the base. We do have the Thor, the Jane Foster, and the Doctor Doom. I'm gonna go ahead and hit him with the turn 1 snap. This is a pretty good play line, and the squirrels do clog up the board a little bit for both of us. But maybe I think we have enough room that we're gonna be able to maneuver just enough that we're able to win. So here I do think we drop our Scorpion. I think this is a game that Jubilee's not gonna do us much good. I think we drop our Scorpion onto the board. If they don't play a card, then we give... Okay, so they play 1 card. We give them -4 power to all of their cards. And they're running a discard deck, so that operates largely on being able to turn over a lot of cards and play a lot of cards. Oh, what am I thinking? We can't play Thor yet. So we're going to pass on turn 3. On turn 4, we're going to drop Thor. On turn 5, probably a Jane... Ooh, that Moon Knight could have been bad. It could have discarded one of our like really high power critical cards. So we're gonna drop Thor. On 5, we probably drop Jane Foster either here or here. And turn 6 Doom is gonna be great in pushing a sneaky 8 power play into Washington DC. So maybe we drop Jane Foster over there, and then we can push that additional 8 power while playing Mjolnir in mid and just push for Wakanda and Washington DC. I think that's probably gonna be the play that we want to go with. And so let's go with the Jane Foster over into that side. On the last turn, we'll be able to do both Mjolnir and Doctor Doom for a huge late game power push. And they, of course, don't have enough space to really do a whole lot of their like comboing that they want to do. And so we have the Jane Foster coming in to pull Mjolnir in. They drop a Blade, which discards their death. So they have a Ghost Rider and a Death that have been discarded already. So maybe they're running a version of a Hela deck that runs Morbius. And if so, I think we can still push more power than they do overall. So let's do the Doctor Doom. Do we do the... Yeah, let's do the Doctor Doom mid. Let's do Mjolnir. That's going to push a decent amount of power here, here, and here. They're going to have to impact all 3 lanes to potentially win here. So even a Hela, if they get a low roll on the resummoning, may not be enough for them. And so we have 8 power on the far left, which isn't great. We have 18. Oh, just the Iron Man on the right-hand side. No way. And so just like that, we have gained 6 of our 8 cubes that we lost that could have been gained. Had we played that other game correctly, we would be at 99 right now. So we were getting so close, and this is absolutely possible to push pretty quickly. All right, so next up we have Bondi. In our starting hand, we have the Scorpion Bishop, Jubilee play, so that may be what we end up going with, unless we draw into something that's going to be a little bit more beneficial. If we draw into like our Lockjaw, that may be more beneficial in 3 to set up. A Thor would be more beneficial than Jubilee. It just depends on what order we draw into our cards. And so here, I think we're going to push a little bit of extra power into Monster Island with Scorpion. Wakanda is going to be a great... Ooh, they drop a Mysterio on 2? Strange. Thor is going to be really good in Wakanda because he won't be able to be targeted by like a Shang-Chi, which is always a concern. I think we'd send a Green Goblin into Monster Island. Because honestly, I don't know where that extra 5 power is. But if we get a Doctor Doom play, then it would be pretty decent to sneak an additional 5 power in each of the lanes to cover the spread from Mysterio. So I think we're going to start clogging up the Wakanda location. We don't have Thor in our hand just yet, so we don't know if that's going to be the play line or a potential play line at all. So we start clogging up. Ooh, so the debris comes in and starts clogging up our own board. Interesting. So they only have one more spot to play in Wakanda. We do have to kind of worry about like a Doc Ock play or maybe a Viper play. Viper could end up sending us one of these cards. If they send us a Mysterio token, I'm sure it would be not the real one. So I do want to drop the Jubilee this turn, but at the same time, I'm almost a little bit worried that we need to cover some power spread into the Monster Island. But unless they do an Odin, they're not going to be able to re-trigger debris. They could do a Viper, but that would risk sending the monster. So I don't think Bishop there's the play. It goes against my gut a little bit, but I'm going to go with Jubilee into the left lane. Nope. Let's go with Jubilee into the far right. We know that they're going to have a hard time in Wakanda. We'll be able to push some decent power over there. So I think if we need a large power push, it's going to be over here. Dr. Doom is pretty good. We will take a Dr. Doom. Absolutely massive Jubilee pool. Absolutely massive. Do we feel confident enough to snap? We could drop Calling Wing, which would allow us to do some free cycles with Lockjaw. We could cap out this location, so if they do something like a Viper or an Odin or something, it'd be okay. It's not a huge power play on the last turn, but it has the potential to be a decent power play. It feels bad to cap out this second location, but I think that we need to do it. With a junk style deck, I'm afraid that they're going to hit us with something to send power our way. I don't think they would do that with a Bishop, honestly. I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with my gut on this one. We're going to do the Calling Wing. I bet they drop power here to come up over the Monster Island power here. So it's a Killmonger, which is huge. It destroys the rocks that they sent our way. So now we can actually do an Odin into the Dream Dimension. Very interesting. I think that actually helped us more than they realize. We can do an Odin into Dr. Doom. We can do a Swarm here and here. That's going to push 5. That's huge. I think this is the turn. I think this is the perfect thing we could have asked for here. At this point, we're spreading power, so I don't know that it matters which one the Mysterio token is. Let's go ahead and lock it in. I feel pretty confident. We turn first, so even if they do an Odin to like try and resend a Green Goblin, we're okay. A Doc Ock, I don't think will do it for them. Maybe a magic play, but oh my gosh, they hit us with the magic play. I mean, but can they come over 9 power and 16 power? Because we know we have this one locked down now. It just comes down to one of these other 2 lanes, which they're going to try and calculate it. None of our cards are over Shang-Chi range besides the monster in middle. So if they did that, they would have a lot of ground to cover in Dream Dimension. So the magic play just gave them like a free sneak peek and saved them 2 cubes into that game extension. So let's go ahead and jump into the next one. Well, I guess you guys deserve an update. That puts us at 98.4. We need 1.6 more, 16 more cubes, 2 back-to-back 8-cube games, and we're done. We're done for the season. So let's go ahead and jump into the next one. All right, so next up we have Canadian Alfredo. And the first location is Sanctum Sanctorum, which with a Dr. Doom in this deck list is pretty good. I think this may be against a bot. potentially. Ooh, Sakar, we pull in Jubilee, which could be decent, could be bad. Not bad. That is not bad at all. I think we snap off of that. I think this map might be a bot that we're playing against.
Victory.
But in full transparency, I want to show this climb to infinite with as much as possible. So 98.5, we need 15 more cubes. All right, so next up we have Fearful X Knight, and we have Scorpion, we have Swarm in hand, we have Jane Foster and Odin. So if we draw into a Thor that's huge, their Deadpool is a little bit scary though. Maybe the oh my gosh, maybe the Subterranean will help, but maybe it'll help. Maybe it'll help them. Oh, so I think we're gonna go with a double Scorpion here. So if they destroy their Deadpool this turn, we can negatively impact him. We can really slow down their potential high roll. So he's going to go from 1 to 2 power. Our Scorpion is going to force him back down to 1. And so if we can keep him within like that manageable range, it's going to be really, really difficult for them to do what they want to do. The Carnage in... Oh, I was going to say the Carnage in Cloning Vats is pretty big. But... I guess not. They end up discarding their Carnage. We discard our Jane Foster, which does hurt. It does sting a little bit. I think we do a Calling Wing into Subterranea. That will give us the free Swarm. No, it won't. Now it will. That will now give us the free Swarm. Maybe not because of Scorpion. So we're going to play Scorpion one more time. Then we're also going to play a Rock. That's going to allow us to do the Calling Wing next turn if it still looks like that is the play path or the play path we want to go with. So they drop a couple of Deadpools onto the board. If they can keep destroying them, this game gets pretty scary with, oh my gosh, the rocks. The rocks. So let's do a Rock. And let's do a Calling Wing, which I think Calling Wing will trigger her honor availability to discard Swarm before she duplicates into our hand, we think. So let's go ahead and do that. The double Rock does hurt a good amount. Ooh, so they get the lucky upside of the Hulkbuster merge. So that means that they're going to have an additional 4 power Deadpool or 5 power or whatever power it is in their hand. So this is starting to look like a retreat because they're going to have so many Deadpools. All they have to do is drop them this turn, drop a Killmonger, and they have a huge, huge power push for the final turn. So let's go with our second Calling Wing. We're going to play one of our Swarms, and then we're just gonna hope. I mean, at this point, we don't have our Lockjaw. We don't have anything great for like, yeah. This is going to be a retreat, guys. I don't see any way around it. They have a 3 cost 10 power Venom. Cloning Vats is huge for a Deadpool deck. And next up we have Mr. Mexicant. Our starting hand, we have our Swarm, we have our Lockjaw, we have Bishop and a reduced cost card location with Elysium. So we might be able to do some pretty good things this game. I think we start out with the Bishop. That's going to be a good card to have out on the board, especially if we end up flooding the board with like Swarms and Lockjaws and things like that. So the first card they drop is a Mr. Sinister into a Carnage. Interesting Mr. Sinister tech into like a Death Wave style build, which is what I can assume. Which is what I assume that this is. So Lockjaw's fine, but I think what we do is a Jubilee here. We want to pull into our Thor. Our Thor is one of our biggest win conditions, and we're going to need something to counter a potential death play. Okay, Chavez is acceptable. we can live without Chavez. That's not the high roll we wanted. Not exactly what we wanted. Green Goblin's not great either. So we still have some extra turns to play. I think we send a Green Goblin in Elysium. Go ahead and drop a Lockjaw to set up maybe our flips next turn. And then we'll probably end up doing a Dr. Doom on 5. Eesh. The Venom is a decent play here. That is their last destruction trigger. Killmonger only kills Yondu. So maybe they set up a wave play on this final turn, but that really limits them to only 2 cards. So if we can be winning 3 locations already, then we just have to push and keep the lead in 2 of them. Oh, it's really hard not to drop the Calling Wing Swarm pieces of the combo. I don't think we do Jane Foster. I think we do Doctor Doom. We flip, because we have to play into Avengers Compound this turn. We flip, we anticipate a wave. Otherwise, maybe a Calling Wing and a Jane Foster would be the play. That gives us 2 chances to flip into... Actually, that almost guarantees we flip into Thor. But I think Doctor Doom is going to be a little bit more consistent for us. Especially since we anticipate the wave, and we're not going to be able to drop our free swarms anyways on turn 6. So let's go ahead and use the Doctor Doom. We will flip out of him after he pushes power into the left and the right lane. We have to keep in mind that they can drop death really in any of the locations, and so that has to be kind of top of mind. They use a Magneto, which pulls into our Bishop and our Jubilee here, which is a little bit scary. We can no longer rotate. We do draw into Mjolnir, though, which is an interesting turn of events. So they didn't wave. We can do... Which lane do we want to compete for? 1, 2, and 3 cost cards can't be played here. So if there is a death that goes out, I think it's here, honestly. Actually, I think we're okay. Might be a bad call, but I think we are all right. Okay, they ended up retreating. So we were going to have a pretty large power push in the left lane. With Mjolnir, we were going to extend our lead in the Avengers Compound, and we were going to maintain a 7-point lead in the Crimson Cosmos. So that is win number 6. We are chipping, that is win number 7. So these updates are going to come fewer and further between now. I want to only focus on the high cube gains, all the way up until we hit infinite. That is 98.7. With the bot victory, we take 4 cubes. We are now 99.1, potentially 2 games off of infinite. We absolutely had the play line. It just took too long to figure out, which is a devastating 4 cube loss. 4 cube recovery, putting us back at 99.1. We are on our way, guys. Devastating 4 cube retreat, back down to 98.7. All right, so next up we have Rolfus. And in our starting hand, we have the Jane Foster, but we don't have the Thor, we don't have the Lockjaw, we don't have a few of the other pieces we would want before a turn 1 snap.
Opponent snapped.
They turn 1 snap on us. It's really hard not to return fire. Let's go ahead and wait a turn. Let's see what they have. Let's see what they're playing. And then we can kind of go from there. We can see if we have the advantage. A 2 cube loss is much more forgiving than a 4 cube loss or an 8 cube loss even. Okay, so they played Goose into Miniaturized Lab, which is an interesting play line. They followed it up. They had Hood first and then Goose into mid. So I'm really curious. What they're running. I think I'm going to send Green Goblin into their lane in Hell's Kitchen. I think they're going to have a way to clear the negative cards over in Clintar. Or else it would have been better to send it over there. But yeah, because they could have just returned fire with the Green Goblin on us. So they do send us a Viper. They're running a low to the ground deck. Oh, and the Iceman hits the perfect target in the Thor, which is a Thor subject. It's a very Thor subject right now. I don't want to talk about it. So we're gonna drop Calling Wing. Oh, right. So we're gonna go with the Calling Wing into Hellfire Kitchen, which will discard our Swarm. We'll be able to potentially cycle that. Clintar is going to be a tough location to win for us. So I think we probably do a Thor. Let's hope that we draw into... Okay. The Jubilee is not the card that we were hoping we would draw into. I think we still probably do... Do we do Thor here? We can do Thor here. We can do a Swarm, and a Doctor Doom on the final turn to push additional power. Let's snap back. We're gonna risk it all. We're 99.1 right now, guys. If we win this one, we will be potentially 99.9, and then we just need a cheesy little retreat to push us up over infinite. This could be the final big boss battle. Okay, and so they use Rock Slide into Clintar, which does make it a little bit tougher for us to guarantee that that one's capped out. But I think the Doctor Doom is going to be a sneaky way to push additional power in that way. So we have the Doctor Doom, which is going to push 5 power here, which is huge. It's going to push 5 power here. Do we need... So that puts us at 9. They would have to push 7 power here, 3 power here, and this brings us up to just a positive 1. Ooh, okay. I don't know if they can do it. I think our biggest 8 would push us at 12. I think our biggest competitor is like them doing a big power push in Hell's Kitchen. Let's hope for it. I don't know if the double swarm here is going to be more beneficial. Actually, let's go with the 3 additional power in Hell's Kitchen. I think 8 power in the miniaturized lab is going to be more than enough. Because of Goose, 4, 5, and 6 cost cards can't be played there. I think we're going to push the tiny bit of additional power into the Hell's Kitchen lane, and then that's what we're gonna hang our hat on. This will cover if they play something here. So the demon, okay. So the 5, 6, 7, 8, we tie. Oh no. We tie in the miniaturized lab lane. The extra swarm would have been what we needed to win the middle location. Do we win the right lane by more than they win the left? We do, right?
Victory.
I forgot about the demon, and most of these games don't get my heart racing, but this one did. Guys, that is 99. Oh no, I lost a game somewhere in between. That's 99.5. One more big win and we are there. All right, so next up we have Word, and we're gonna be able to play Scorpion on 2. It's not gonna be a great game to really set up or do a whole lot, because on 4, we're gonna shuffle our cards back into our deck. And so I think we play the power that we have. And so we're gonna play Scorpion, we're gonna push Lockjaw maybe into the far right lane, depending on what location that is. And then we're gonna hope for a good rotation with the cycle here. Yep, so let's go with a Lockjaw. If we draw into any low-cost cards, maybe we cycle them in Asgard and hope for like a high roll. That could give us the potential extra 2 cards that we need in that location. I don't want to cycle Thor. So we're going to go with a Thor into the far left lane. That feels kind of bad. That feels a little bad because they're going to be able to see what we play next turn. If they are running something that runs like a Professor X or a lockdown deck, then they win. But at the same time, Onslaught Citadel seems really, really tough. Because if they have an Iron Man, if they have a Devil Dino, they automatically win that location. There's no way we can overcome that much power. So they use a Jubilee, which pulls into a Jane Foster. So are they running some kind of cycle deck as well? But they got the high roll on it. Let's go ahead and cycle a card with our Bishop. We're going to hope for a high roll here to help cap and lock this one down. Because we're going to need to overcome one of these 2 lanes. And I'm really afraid that they have some kind of ongoing card. Any kind of ongoing card with a powerful enough effect would do us in right here. And so they're going to be able to see what we play. They're going to be able to adjust accordingly. They don't know what we're going to flip into with the Lockjaw. Okay, so they're running a Lockjaw as well. So they're going to try and flip into a Thor of their own. Okay, so Sunspot is a decent one for us to have there. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, the dream. So let's go ahead and snap. We flipped into Jane Foster there. So we can do a couple of things. We can do a Doctor Doom. We can do a Doctor Doom cycle into a Mjolnir cycle. That's going to push 5 here, 5 here, potentially pulling into a couple of okay cards, but we could potentially pull into Doctor Doom again and push an additional 5 each way. I don't know if that's better than the Mjolnir playline, but it is the playline that we're going to go with. We're going to... We just need more than 2 power here currently. Let's go ahead and lock that in. We're going for a 4 cube game. So they do a leader, which is going to do the Doctor Doom and not the Mjolnir. Unfortunately, had we played Mjolnir first, it would have been fine. But now it comes down to a really tough flip here. We, of course, win the left lane, but we need either 3 power in the right or a Doctor Doom to tie in the middle. So oh my gosh.
Victory.
So we tie in Asgard. We lose Onslaught Citadel by 5. And then we win the far left lane by 7. So we are now truly 99.1. We just need 1 retreat to push us up over that edge to infinite here. All right, so next up we have TLYM, and I do not plan on snapping, even if we have the absolute highest of rolls, I don't think. So Death's Domain is a great location for us. So is Washington, D.C. with the Doombot. So I think we have a pretty good shot. We can always Jubilee into Death's Domain if we don't have the Dr. Doom playline. We have a lot of potential play around ability here. So they go with a Domino, which could be a Cerebro 3. We need to keep an eye out for more 3-cost cards here. We now have the Swarm. We have Green Goblin, which I think do we go ahead and send them in one of the locations? I think we're gonna go ahead and send it in Washington, D.C. From there, we can actually, let's go ahead and set up our Lockjaw rotation. I think that's what I want to go with. We can then potentially do a Jubilee pull in Death's Domain next turn. We could start cycling cards. Oh, so it's not a... Oh no, it's not a Cerebro 3. It is like a Venom Red Skull style deck. So had we not done Lockjaw, we could do Green Goblin and most likely cap out their Nidavellir lane here. But as it currently stands, I don't think we'll be able to compete. Let's go ahead and try. Losing 2 is going to be, I think, fine. So they do drop the Typhoid Mary after the 0, so they have a pretty big power push there. We're going to go with the Jubilee cycle early, so we pull into an America Chavez, and then Jubilee will cycle out into Thor? Into a Dr. Doom, so we do get power over into Death's Domain already, which is good. We can now do an Odin on the last turn to push more power over there. I think we drop our Jane Foster in middle. The last turn we're going to drop an Odin into this lane. We will cycle it out, but that'll be after it pushes an additional 10 power with the Dr. Doom. So we need to pay attention to what they're playing here, but I think we have an okay shot. So they have the double Typhoid Mary, which is interesting. So we're going to have 8 power because it's 5, 6, 7, 8 from Washington, D.C. So another 8 will put us at... Does that put us at 25? No, that puts us at 26. We may overcome their power in Washington, D.C. But let's go ahead and lock in the Odin. I think we have an okay shot here. We're going to drop one more card into Nidavellir. We then cap out Washington, D.C. and Death's Domain. What do we cycle into? Something decently powered, I hope. A Calling Wing. Not exactly what you hope for, but it might be enough to do it for us. The Shang-Chi comes in and destroys... How much? All of our hope, all of our hopes and dreams, guys. Water flooding down the toilet. They're gone. Say goodbye. All the hopes and dreams. That was 1 cube away from infinite, and that was such a good match. 99.7. All right. So next up we have Raul, and Raul very well may be a bot, and if so, maybe we can finesse the 3 cubes, what we would finesse 4 to finish off this grind. And so the Squirrel Girl right off the bat is very bot-like behavior, Raul. Very bot-like behavior. And so let's go with a Scorpion into the Bifrost. On turn 4, it's actually going to start stacking these cards up, so this lane may be a pretty easy one for us to steal away. So let's go ahead and do the Scorpion, and we'll see what else they play. But I anticipate this being I want to say a pretty easy match, but I've been wrong more times than I care to admit. So we hit them with the Scorpion. Let's go ahead and I think a Green Goblin into the Citadel is going to be the play. After this turn, all of our cards are going to shift over by 1. And so if they play something here or here, actually just here, this would be completely capped out. I think that's going to be our best shot, is if the bot makes a poor decision here. Ooh, so they do, right? So the Angel is going to come in. They're not going to have a chance to recap or rechange this location. So the only hope that they're going to have... Oh, it's after turn 4. Oops. So we are going to drop our Thor into the Bifrost, and then hope that they don't have a destruction tool for the Citadel. If they do, our miscalculation feels pretty bad. But they have a Killmonger, which almost clears the entire Citadel. They're going to have a really cheap death towards the end of the game that we're going to need to watch out for because of that play. Okay, and so we do have Jane Foster that comes in We're going to be able to do either a Mjolnir and an Odin on turn 6. We could do a Dr. Doom and an Odin. It just depends on what kind of power push it looks like they might have. And so they drop a card into the Bifrost this turn, which is kind of interesting. It's a Moon Girl. So now we know that we only need one trigger from Mjolnir here. I think what we do is we cover our bases. So how many cards did they get destroyed? The 3 squirrels, the angel, so 4. They got what, like 5 cards destroyed? Did they get 6 cards destroyed is what I wonder. So they did the carnage right after the initial squirrel drop. So that was 1. And then a squirrel here was 2. A squirrel here was 3. Plus angel was 4. Was there one other one? So if it's just 4, then that means that their death is still a 5-cost card. So I think we're okay just doing a Dr. Doom and going wide. If we do a Dr. Doom and go wide, that covers our spread here and here. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That actually covers both of them. I think this is the infinite game, which feels kind of anticlimactic, but I think it's the infinite game. I anticipate 1 or 2 deaths. If it is a death or a double death in the Citadel, we win in the Bifrost and the Dark Dimension because of Dr. Doom going wide. So they do the wave a turn too late. They do a double wave. Okay, so Second Dinner graciously gave us infinite rank. So that is the final push. That is the last game that we needed. That puts us up to 100 for the season. We did hit the infinite rank. Let's go ahead and claim our Hydra card back. I want to rep Shield, but we're going to be repping the Hydra card back just because it looks so nice and we unlocked it. We have to equip it to every deck now on. So for our final stretch, we went 13 wins and 4 losses, which is not bad at all. It was overall a pretty easy finish to our infinite climb. So overall, the deck list feels really solid. We are going to go ahead and end the video here. I don't know exactly how I'm going to compile all of those clips together, but I will find a way to at least add in the bits and pieces here and there. But overall, I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave it a like and a comment down below. This has been TLSG. Later, guys.